I'm Bob Burrill, and I'm recording this on February 13th, 2025, and it is entitled, He Gets Us and the Episcopal Bishop. And I may get myself in a lot of trouble with this one. I hope not, but I may get a lot of angry comments and so forth. But this ties into a couple of things that were put online by Sean Foyt. Who is Sean Foyt? Well, I got to tell you that quickly. I didn't know who he was until a few months ago. He's a worship leader. He's probably about 30 years younger than me. Has amazingly long hair. I mean, amazingly long, blonde, curly hair. He's a phenomenal worship leader. He's very conservative. I first heard of him several months ago when he had a rally on Boston Common in front of the State House. Just packed with people in front of the State House, Boston Common, preaching the gospel and singing beautiful gospel music, and gave an altar call, and just many, many, many people found Christ as their Savior. I had never heard of the guy. It popped up on my Facebook. I said, who is this guy? So I started, looking into him and his Facebook page and so forth. I found out he was going all over the country. He went to every state capital, leading worship and preaching and leading people to Christ. He's a fascinating guy. But anyway, Sean Foyt had comments online both about He Gets Us, that ad campaign, and about the Episcopal Bishop. Now, as far as He Gets Us, and that ad campaign first popped up a couple years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. I remember I used to see it in magazines, and I would read the ad, or I'd see it as a TV commercial and watch the commercial. And the theme of it was Jesus really understands you and really gets you, whoever you are and whatever you're doing. He understands you and he gets you. And honestly, I just didn't know what to think of those ads. I didn't necessarily like them. I didn't necessarily dislike them. They kind of left me just kind of neutral, like, I wasn't quite sure what to make of them. Well, about a year ago, I was talking to a pastor friend, and the pastor friend said he really didn't like the ads and went over why he didn't like them. That the point of the ads was not really to lead somebody to a commitment to Christ and to follow the Bible and to walk with God. It was a lot less than that, and he didn't care for it. Anyway, Sean Foyt, the same guy with the long hair who, led the worship at Boston Common and so forth, posted something yesterday. And I just want to read you the words of what he posted. This is not the whole thing he posted, but he wrapped it up saying, as someone who has gone to the streets, prisons, and darkest places in America over the last several years, I can assure you the world isn't crying out for a God who looks like them. They want a Savior who can free them. I liked that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to share that onto my Facebook page. And I did. Well, a personal friend of mine posted a comment. The only reaction or comments I got was this one. And it was from someone I know personally. And his comment said, the entire incarnation revolves around a God who looks like us. And I went, wow. So Sean Foyt is saying, the world doesn't want a God who looks like them. The world wants a God who can save them. And yet my very good friend posted a thing and said, well, the whole incarnation is about a God who does look like them. Wow. So that kind of left my head spinning all day. Like, what do you do with that? And it's interesting because where I live, we had a sloppy mess this morning. Snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain. And it left a mess of slush to shovel. And as I was out there today shoveling a mess of slush, I thought all about He Gets Us, and I thought all about the Episcopal Bishop. You did shovel? I really did. I did. As far as the He Gets Us, I still come down with Sean. I understand what my friend was trying to say who commented. I do. But let me tell you something. I became a born-again Christian when I was 15 years old, when I was a teenager. I'm not proud of this. I mean, when I was a teenager, I went to church. I went to the Catholic Church. I believed in God. But I didn't really know God. Honestly, what kind of a teenager was I? Honestly, I was selfish. I really was. I was very selfish. I was very lazy. I was very self-centered. And I wasn't a great, my parents might have said I was a good kid. I really wasn't. And I remember one night I watched Billy Graham on TV. And Billy Graham and his ministry had a lot to do with my salvation and my discipleship. I wish I had time to tell you all about it. I don't. But I watched Billy Graham, and he talked about the sins of the age, and he talked about cheating. Do you know, the next day, I'm not proud of this. The next day I got caught cheating. I was a sophomore in high school. I got caught cheating. It was one of those, I got a 0, my paper got ripped up. And the teacher was really mad at me, and I'm sure the teacher thought, that kid doesn't care. Do you know I really did care? I did care. Because I thought, Billy Graham is right. He's right. I'm a cheater, and I'm going to hell. And I'm lost. I thought Billy Graham is right. That teacher had no idea how bad I felt. And I didn't need right then a God who just said, you know what, Bob? You're selfish. You're lazy. You're a cheater. And guess what? I get that. And if it was just left at that, I'd be saying, well, so what? So what? That doesn't do anything for me. You know where I was at that point? If you're in my age group, you remember a line from the Moody Blues, the singing group. I'm looking for someone to change my life. I'm looking for a miracle in my life. That's what I was doing. And I thank God. I wish I had time to tell you the whole story. I don't. But I came to know Jesus Christ as my personal Savior and Lord. And he did set me free, and he did change my life. That's some thoughts on He Gets Us. And now some thoughts on the Episcopal Bishop, because Sean Foyt, he definitely posted some thoughts about the Episcopal Bishop. He was at that service where the Episcopal Bishop rebuked President Trump. You know the one I'm talking about. Sean was there. And he posted some comments about it on Facebook. You know, it's interesting. A number of my Facebook friends posted comments about that Episcopal bishop and what happened. And honestly, I had a number of my Facebook friends write things like this, say, there's a real Christian. That Episcopal bishop is a real Christian. And if you don't agree with what she said, and if you don't agree with what she did, you are no Christian. That was put out there by quite a few people. And Sean didn't like pretty much what she did at all. I got to tell you honestly, I didn't like it either. I really didn't. Honestly, when I pastored for over 20 years, I had many clergy friends of all stripes. I had clergy friends that were politically liberal. I had clergy friends that were theologically liberal. And all over the place. And I could work with them. But I thought about that as I shoveled today. And I'll tell you a quick little story. And I got to try to be quick. I know these videos, it's hard to keep them short. But there was a female, I won't use her real name because I don't have permission to. I'm going to call her Pastor Jean, Jean, but that wasn't her name. But anyway, Pastor Jean, she pastored a congregational church. And very liberal theologically and very liberal politically. But a very nice person, a really nice person. And so I knew her very well with the clergy group when I was pastoring. And in that community, we put on Thanksgiving services, and both she and I and many other clergy were involved. We would put on like memorial services for 9/11, things like that. We were both involved. And it's interesting because she wrote an online book several years ago, and my son said to me, Dad, do you know Pastor Jean wrote an online book and she mentions you in it? And I said she did, and he told me where to find it. Now, she didn't use my name, but she talked about with her clergy group that she knew this guy. She described me as a fundamentalist, and, you know, as a really staunch fundamentalist, but that she was able to work with me. Well, some months later, I was at a play of all things, and at the intermission, who was in the audience but Pastor Gene? And I went up to her. We were talking to each other, kidding around and whatnot. And I said, I saw that online book you wrote. And I said, I saw the piece you wrote about me, and I said I just kind of got a kick out of it. And she said, and I said, for one thing, I'm really not a fundamentalist. Because I said, a fundamentalist is somebody that only goes by the King James Bible. I love the King James Bible, but man, I use the Amplified Bible and the RSV and the NIV and all kinds of Bibles. I said, the other thing is, a fundamentalist believes anybody who speaks in tongues is going to hell. And I said, I pray in tongues and speak in tongues just about every day. So I'm no fundamentalist. And she said, that's interesting. She said, truthfully, and because I told you I was in all kinds of public services with the clergy group, and she and I were in them together. And she said, I was always kind of nervous with you. I said, what do you mean? And she said, I was always kind of afraid you might say something inappropriate or do something inappropriate. And I said, listen, you don't have to worry about that. I said, I'd have never done that. I said, there's a time and a place. Now, listen, if they were going to do something like, we're all going to have a pro-choice march or something about abortion, you think I would have joined that march? You know the answer. If it was something like that, no. But I mean something like a memorial service for 9/11, something like a Thanksgiving service. We did a lot of joint Good Friday services. I did with her. I kid you not. I have no problem with that. I said, listen, I'd have never said or done anything inappropriate in any of those services. And I think that's the thing about the Episcopal Bishop. Did she have a right to her opinion? Yes. Maybe, I'm making a video here. Maybe she should have made a video and put it online about what she feels about President Trump. That's fine. But I would have never embarrassed Pastor Gene or any of my colleagues, even if I disagreed with. I just wouldn't do that. And that's the thing that the Episcopal Bishop did that I didn't agree with her. I'm sorry. I didn't agree. It's like radio commentator Jesse Kelly says, you got to take the temperature of the room. You got to take the temperature of the room. You got to know your audience. You got to know where you are, what you're doing, what's appropriate, and what isn't appropriate. So those are my thoughts. It's interesting. Sean Foyt posted about He Gets Us and posted about the Episcopal Bishop. So those are some of my thoughts on the subject. And I just thought I'd put this out there. And I know some of you might get very mad at me, and some of you might say nasty things. And I know you say, well, Sean Foyt is very far on the right, and he is. You know what? I like the guy. So I'm sorry if that offends. Well, you know what? I'm not sorry if that offends you. I like the guy. I like Sean Foyt. And I just felt like this is how I feel about it. I posted something recently on Facebook that I said, too often I've walked on eggshells. And I've been afraid to tell people how I felt about this or that. And I'm deciding I'm not going to walk on eggshells. So as far as He Gets Us, and I love my friend who posted the comment, but I kind of don't agree with them. That's how I feel about He Gets Us. And the Episcopal Bishop, I know some of you don't like what I said, but that's how I feel about that. And you're welcome to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You're welcome to leave a comment. You're welcome to share this. And God bless you.